Hello, everyone. We welcome you on our webinar that is dedicated to the interactive email campaigns and all things related to this topic. So I hope you do see my screen, see my faces, and hear me well. If anyone has any kind of problem, please feel free to put it in the chat. But I really do hope that everything is fine. So we can start. Actually, the webinar itself, during our webinar, I encourage you to use our question section in the webinar platform interface. Put any kind of questions that you want. I will try to dedicate time at the end of the webinar to answer all your questions that you have. Maybe you will go to some question during the webinar itself. So be active on this regard. If anything you're interested in, that you need any kind of additional specification from my side, any details, practical example, anything. So a couple of words about myself, just to be acquainted for you to understand better who I am, why I'm actually speaking currently to you. I'm head of omnichannel department in Viseven, so responsible for launching any kind of omnichannel campaigns from technical perspective, from digital perspective, from marketing perspective. So all this kind of stuff. So many years I'm working in digital marketing field, and currently working in Viseven, run a lot of this big complex project for pharma and life science companies. So we get a lot of this practical experience that we are ready to share with you during the webinar. Also, just a couple of words that I have all certification in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, the most common marketing automation platform used for life science and pharma. So I can give you there will have some section to advanced analytics in Salesforce Marketing Cloud as the example. What kind of possible data we can get, what kind of additional interaction it can help us to bring in. So three main section of agenda we'll have in our webinar today. So the first one is AMP. The proper pronunciation is AMP emails and everything related to this. The second one is advanced personalization within our communication, email in particular in this case, and the dynamic content, dynamic personalization, what additional features we potentially can implement in order to be more efficient, create more appealing content, and have more engaging communication with our customers. So first of all, I would like to launch you a little quiz, just to so now you should see it in your screen. Just try to vote. This question is really based on the last research. What do you think, like what percentage of HCPs prefer some online or mixed communication compared to face-to-face visits? Okay, we're getting a lot of this, a lot of the results. Yeah, almost everyone has voted. Please feel free to vote this if anyone. Okay, I think it's all. We can share the results with you actually. So majority of you is actually quite right. Of course, it can vary from situation, so different studies can show a little bit different results. But one of the last studies that we go through is showed that 68% actually HCPs prefer to have this more like mixed or purely digital communication. Okay, any questions? Hello, Paul. We'll keep you listening, but we have some questions. Just a second. Yeah, recording. The question about the recording. Yes, recording will be available after the webinar, so you can go through the presentation after this. Actually, why we're talking about this personalization, about all this advanced experience, advanced technical features that we're trying to bring into our communication. Why do we need all this? What is it for, actually? So, as you all know, understand, there is a lot of noise currently in communication, a lot of messages, a lot of this communication bombarding each day our audience, our HCPs, or any kind of other audience, pharmacists, patients, and so on. And it's not only our communication, it's not only communications that is sending other pharma and life science company. It's also each and every HCP is a human being, so they receive a lot of communication from other companies, not like pharma, entertaining, FMCG, some buy this stuff, go to cinema, watch this, and so on. So that is why it's really hard to break through this noise. And this personalization, this really appealing to some, given some personal experience, is really naturally, psychologically, I would say, also attracting the attention of the HCP. It really help us to break through this noise. When you just imagine yourself, for example, watching the list of many emails in your inboxes, and if you really see some subject line, for example, that appealing, that more like appealing, that is more personalized to your needs, that is mentioning your name, your specialty, your geography, working pretty good, or some things that is really relevant to personally to you, there is way more chances that you will pay attention to this message compared to some general message that you understand is sending to everyone with the same subject line or any kind of other stuff. So that is why we're trying really to create this personalized experience as much as possible. And the first section that potentially can help us with this is the AMP emails. It's actually interactive emails. It's I cannot say that it's so new technology. It's technology like more than 3 or 5 years even, initially created by Google, but it's really not so widespread in many industries, in pharma in particular. So in a couple of words, it's really turning the general, simple, I would call standard HTML emails in the user inbox into the interactive one. So for you, it will be more or less easy to understand what it's all about. So we can compare the AMP emails with e-detailing, interactive presentations that medical representative using CLM presentations within the tablets during the face-to-face or the remote visit with the HCP. It's something like more or less similar. So it has a different like functionalities available. So the core idea is really this interactable emails. You can see currently there one of the example. It's not pharma example because we're not, unfortunately, not allowed to, due to the NDA constraints, share some our actual examples that we're currently doing for some pharma companies. So we're sharing just general example just to give you the understanding what it's all about. So it's really helped. So once again, it's helped us to turn standard email into interactable one that the user can directly interact within the inbox. So different examples you can see on your screen. It's actual real examples created from the users' inboxes. So it's FMCG examples, but the same can be applicable for the pharma, of course, as well. You can imagine instead of this iPhone picture, you can imagine any kind of your brands or any kind of this information, banners, and so on. So it's as the first part, what we can mention, what it gives to us, it's really like this wow effect, because it's not so standard. It's not everyone get used to work with it. It's not like pretty widespread practice. So by bringing this this technology to the user inboxes, we really can achieve this wow effect. So the second one is that we can, sorry, I will go to previous, yeah, this one. So it's really help us to really hide some part of the content, and it's only be visible. It's called the accordion. It's only visible once the user is interacting with this. So it's gives this ability to not create a huge email that you need to scroll a lot of this screens and so on. So you can only like open some part of the block, content block, and close it, and after that go to another part, and so on. So also due to this like dynamically changing, so this really content can we can create more relevant content in sense that some part of these blocks could be personalized based on the user attributes, user some previous behavior and so on. So we can show, for example, some piece of content that the user previously interact with some our previous communication, for example. Also, pretty good part that could be used is different like surveys, polls, and getting the feedback through these interactive emails. So the core idea here is that this technology allows us to embed actually the survey forms directly inside the email itself. So you don't need to lead the users in some third-party platforms. So you can get really this feedback, you can get these comments, voting, some polls, surveys direct inside the emails, and our data and data some of the colleagues. I am part of the AMP international AMP community with the specialists who is trying to implement this technology in real practical cases. So it gives us like up to 3 times higher response rate when we are creating these polls within the email itself compared to the polls and surveys that is created in some third-party platform when the user need to click, go into some third-party platform like SurveyMonkey or so, or Google Forms, any kind of this stuff, and populate the form there. So it's much easier from user experience to populate some data directly within the email, press the submit button, and we get in this feedback. And of course, it gives us a lot of room for different like this gamification practice. You will get the presentation after the webinar. So here is a couple of links, playable links with the web version of emails that you can play with. So actually, in this you see the example. Yeah. So different kind of these techniques could be implemented here. So there's some gamification stuff. It's only mostly it's just limited to your imagination, to your approach. So any kind of this stuff could be put it here from technical perspective. Regarding some technical aspects, of course, not each and every mail providers supports this technology. So currently, mainly it's supported by Google, because it's actually nature was designed by Google and by Yahoo, and some other platform, thinking to and doing some actions. Some other platforms is trying to, not all of them, of course, trying to support this technology as well. Also, you need that your platform that you use for sending the email, in our case, MPMLs, so marketing automation platform or email service provider, needs to support also this technology. Currently, you see the list of different platform service providers that is supporting this technology. The main one that is actually widespread in enterprise segment in pharma actually as well is the Salesforce Marketing Cloud that currently supports starting from the previous 2021 year, and Adobe Campaign also supports this technology. So potentially you can send these emails out from using the Salesforce Marketing Cloud or Adobe Campaign or any kind of other platform within this list. So don't worry about the platforms that is email provider that is currently does not support. this technology, in this case, the users will not see like some bad looking email. It will be like, it's called fallback to the standard HTML version. So from the very beginning, you creating like a two version, standard version, HTML version, and the version with this embedded additional interactive elements. So if the user inbox, user email provider supports AMP technology, he will see the full AMP version. If the inbox email provider does not support their AMP technology, it will be fall back to the standard HTML. So some users will receive the standards version, some user will receive the more advanced this AMP version. So if you're in your country has more or less significant percentage number of Gmail or Yahoo mails in your subscribers database, so it's worth considering to use this technology. So once again, three things you need to, in order to implement it, you need the platform that supports it, like Marketing Cloud or Adobe Campaign or any kind of other in this list. You need to go through the whitelisting of your domain. It's easy, free, not maybe so easy, but standard procedure with Google and Yahoo. And the third one, you need to prepare the content that supports this technology. We in Viseven has a couple of dedicated team who is familiar working with the MPML and create emails using this technology. Okay, so moving forward, it's about the AMP emails. If you have any question on this, please put it in the question section, and a little bit later I will try to answer it and give you some additional information about the AMP technology. So the next section is about the advanced personalization. So core idea here is that any kind of our email, any kind of content pieces, text, phrases, paragraphs, subject lines, pre-headers, anything in most like more or less modern platform like Salesforce Marketing Cloud or so could be personalized based on any HCP customer attribute that we have in our database. So the only prerequisites here is the data. If we have, for example, the data about the specialty, we can put it dynamically inside the email. So you probably all know then using this like first name and last name personalization. So the same is good for any kind of other attributes. Pretty good from our practices working these geographical attributes. So if you put just mentioning, for example, in the subject line, there dynamically, once again, you don't need to create hundreds of versions of the email. You create just one version and put this dynamic tokens in some places, and it will be dynamically change it into the changes instead of the this geography attributes. So it's really working with the city, for example, just mentioning the city that HCP is living in currently. We even conduct a couple of A/B tests within different projects, really boosting the engagement level, opens and clicks for the email. So geography is pretty powerful personalization. By gender, put in different like the stuff, or any kind of HCP attributes like target classes if you want, some preferences, anything that you have in your database, you can dynamically put it in the email and change these attributes. Actually, GIF animation, some also understandable parts that is worth using in the using in the emails to just put some additional blocks to point some attention to some needed piece of content. So you don't need to like entertain the audience and put some I don't know, funny stuff here. We're not mainly about the entertainment. So, but you can really put some small dynamic GIF animation in order to emphasize some part of the content, in order to make some put some attention into needed content blocks. So it's really working. Of course, not there is some issues with, for example, Outlook. Not each and every email platform correctly place it, but it's also not so big deal if it will not work dynamically. It will just static image. So just couple of examples to use. So you can see here on this right image, it's just a small pieces of this interactions really like give us some additional attention score. Let's call it. Also, you can really try to. It's worth trying to put some graphs on some information that could be visualized, that is could like be easily perceived, understandable from graphics instead of a lot of this text. But also it should be you should put attention more like how to visualize some data, some information, not just to put image for the sake of the image. So if this image does not give any kind of valuable information, maybe it's not so good image actually. So try to put something informative yet to these images, to these illustrations. Also a couple of additional tricks that's maybe more or less understandable for you, but it's also worth mentioning. So first of all, different like famous people, famous nail keeping and leaders. So they faces, they names, they mentioning of them is also giving us some additional engagement points. Let's call it different quotes. Also pretty good stuff, especially it's relevant to our communication, to our brands, to our therapeutic area, anything. And there is also the additional functionality. It could be implemented by some additional services. It's not like M technology in this case. It's additional standalone small technological pieces. So it's like a countdown effect. It's adds some urgency. So for example, if we have some event, some webinar that, and we know that is some days is left to this webinar, we could put this counter. So it's actually in practice, it's not a give animation. So it's not like the same. So it's not start playing from the same time when the user is opening. So if you open it one day before, prior to webinar, you will see that this countdown, it's like 24 hours. If you open it 6 hours prior to webinar, you will see that it's 6 hours countdown. So it's really not it's not binded to the time of open, it's binded to the actual date. So we set up within this technology, we set up the date of some event, for example, and after that it will be just counting the date. So if the user is opening the email after that date of the event and time of the event, so it will be like zeros here. So in some cases, it's really given you some additional attention points to your events. 3D images, also pretty good stuff in sense of catching the attention. Really, it's not also, once again, it's not for the sake of creating some fancy emails just to show that we can create this fancy graphic. It's really some information that we put inside here, something that we would like to emphasize by these images. So in this case, it's really worth to use it. Once again, if you're for this section you have any kind of questions, please put it in the question section. We'll go through it a little bit later. Next part I will like you to talk about. Maybe it will be not so relevant to those who is not using Salesforce Marketing Cloud, but just to give you, but also for you, it maybe worth mentioning for some analytics that is inbuilt in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Something similar could be built by some custom solution. These analytics actually give you the additional vision of the behavioral data, additional information that you can use in order to maximize performance, in order to really put some this more personal experience to the users. So you can really utilize it, and we just give you this couple of Einstein functionality inbuilt in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and show you the way briefly how you can utilize in your work if you're using Salesforce Marketing Cloud or any kind of similar solutions that have some potentially more or less similar functionality. So I will talk about the three core functionality. It's a little bit more, but currently we're talking about three: this Einstein split scoring, frequency split, and Einstein send time optimization. So the first one is send time optimization. It's the functionality that utilizing the machine learning algorithms and trying to assign prefer best suitable time of sending the communication, email in this case, to each specific user. So it's not like a one time for all, or for the majority of our audience. It's trying to specify the time and day of the week to each user. So after that, we can. It's not only the report itself. It's also the action elements that we can put in the journey builder within Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and it will send automatically the email to each particular HCP, to each particular subscriber in the best time for this user. So it helps us maximize really this opens and clicks. So once again, it's also like not about the content itself, but about the additional functionality that helps us really to boost this personalization, to boost this engagement. Of course, it will not, from practical standpoint, create the revolution. It will not like doubles or triples the performance, but it can, from practice, what we see, it can give you some additional 3, 4, 5% of this opens rates and click rates within your communication. So if you're using Salesforce Marketing Cloud, I encourage you to also use Einstein for the sake of this bringing personal experience to the users. So the second one is engagement scoring, report and functionality action element in the journey itself. What this actually does, it splits automatically using the inbuilt machine learning algorithms our audience into 4 groups based on this previous historical data, historical interactions with each particular subscriber. So the first group is loyalist. From the naming, I think you understand. It's all about it's the users who is really active, who is really actively opening, clicking our email. The second group is window shoppers. It's subscribers who is more or less frequently opening the email, but most likely they don't click. We also call them surfers. You can imagine this like a behavioral pattern, like some HCP using his phone on the rush, on the move, just checking one email, going to another email, so like the surfers. The third group is selective subscribers. It's a little bit opposite. It's users who is not so oftenly opening the email, but when they open, most times they will click. And the last one, win back or dormant, also from the naming, I see you can understand, it's really the not active subscribers at all, or almost not active. So what we can do, we can analyze this for groups, and we can put this action element inside the journey that will split our logic into 4 branches, and we can treat each of this subsegment of users, this behavioral segment, it's called also micro-segmentation, differently. So for one, we can bring one kind of content, for another can bring different kind of content, choose different channels, for example, if we have this freedom to switch between different channels. So we can treat differently, and we can try to get them like different experience that really and try to boost the engagement itself. So for example, for selective subscribers, not sending them too many emails, but sending only the core emails that is really worth opening and clicking. So for window shoppers, you can really put some emphasis on the some big call to action, yet really try to encourage them to click. Or if you are like don't expect them clicking, so put them more information into the email body, and not counting, not expecting that they will follow the link and browse information on the web portal itself. So the third functionality, it's called engagement scoring. Once again, it's also the report and also the action element inside the journey. What this functionality actually also does, it trying to create this correlation between frequency and between engagement level. So it's trying to analyze within each new additional email, third, fourth, or fifth email that we are sending, is it really our engagement level going down significantly or not? So if not going down, it's like it's on target or even unsaturated. If the engagement going down, so this user is oversaturated. So it's really about this frequency. It's really about to not push a lot of our users into this dormant part of audience. So within this functionality, we can really bring more personal experience in sense of how many emails we're sending to our HCPs. As you understand, all persons, all like human beings, all HCPs is pretty more or less unique in sense of that for one user, 3, 5 even maybe emails in a week, it's like okay, he's digital native, he's living with this all this gadget and so on. And from other HCP, even couple of emails during the 1 week, it's too much. So we can really try to bring different experience to them, once again, in order to not push them into dormant, but utilize as much as possible all these digital natives, all these HCPs who is living and actively consuming our content. So once again, you can put this action element inside the journey, and it will split the journey logic into the different branches based on this recommended frequency for the emails. So if you will have any questions regarding the engagement and staying functionality in Salesforce Multi-Cloud or similar functionality, please put it in the question section. So going back to to summarize actually what we are saying, and a couple of words what actually this emails, AMP emails is given to us, what kind of benefits. Just to remind maybe also you, it's really increase our capabilities, what we can put inside the email, what kind of content, how we can put it here. It increases personalization, as we discussed, just for the sake of breaking through the noise to deliver really the message to the HCP and to make sure that this will be visible for him. It gives us interactive this customer experience, wow effect, and all this kind of the stuff, and improves our services, improves the satisfaction of the user, giving them more more pleasant, let's call it, experience, and so on. Within the actually interactive emails, within the omnichannel approach, it really works on it can work on brand awareness, engaging users more actively, given this two-way communication by getting this feedback from the user, all the surveys, polls, and so on, or getting a lot of additional data what actually the user is doing, and increase the customer loyalty. If the customer is getting more personalized experience, more appealing content, of course, it will increase the customer loyalty from our communication. So the second quiz that I would like actually you to what here. So try to, if we're talking about the creating the content itself in email, what do you think should be this percentage of image to text ratio in the email? So please vote. Just maybe your experience, your vision, your thoughts on this regard. So first it's images, first number, second number is text in email when we're talking about email. Good. I think most of you already voted, so we'll close and to share the results. So actually, maybe it's a little bit cheating question in sense that it's really the right answer here. It depends. It's actually depends, but maybe in most cases, I would say that most of you are correct. It's something close to the 60 to 40. The last answer, the D answer, based on our practice, based on some researches from market, from different companies like Litmus and so on. What we saw, it's more close to 60 to 40. But once again, it depends really what kind of information we're trying to put there, what is the purpose of email, and so on. But I encourage you to not create the email that is fully consists of image. It's really not so, in most cases, not so good perception, and also it's really not so good in sense of the spam algorithms within the email service providers. So when you just provide the full images with no or almost no text, so it will be considered by the email platform algorithms like Google, Yahoo, and so on as suspicious. So they will, because a lot of spammers doing like this, putting some text on them on image. So it's hard for the platform to understand what actually is there, what it's all about. So that is why this fully image-based approach is not so good practically. So just to try to combine it with some decent proportion. So the second next topic that I would like to talk about is really one of the core aspects here is a cost reduction. When we're talking about this dynamic content approach, also it's related to modular content approach, and it gives us also, of course, the personalized experience, but also it leads to cost reduction. So, for example, let's imagine that we're on the global level or some regional level. We have a lot of this different topics, a lot of these themes, a lot of these templates, and so on. And we really need to create many variations, let's call it different variations of this content pieces, content modules, snippets for different campaigns, for different activities, create different assets. So in this case, in the old approach, we're creating like as many assets as we need. If we need 24 variations, 24 templates, we'll create 24 templates. But in sense of this dynamic content, we created just one template and can dynamically enable or disable, and at the time of sending, different these blocks different these modules. So it can give us really these main benefits. So the first one is we are of course delivering like pretty personalized experience by personalizing, really disabling and enabling these blocks based on their HCP attributes or the previous HCP actions. So if, for example, if you previously clicked and interested was about on this information, we can put this block. If another information, we can put enable this block and disable these blocks. Or for example, for different specialties, for this specialty, it will be more relevant for gastroenterologists, this block for the piece of content. For the nephrologist, it could be more relevant to put these blocks. And the second value here is really the cost reduction. So if we imagine that the two content pieces that we have the like template with a header and footer, and we put we have the one module that is common, standard for the two asset variations. So we put it in each of these variations. So one asset, a separate email. And we have a couple of modules that like is unique to this variation. So these modules, and this, and we need to create the other, put other modules in the second email and other modules here in the second email. So let's imagine it's just, of course, some approximate cost. It could really vary. So let's imagine that each of them emails is cost for 200 euros for you. So in total, it will be 400 euros or dollars if you want here. But when we create and really this dynamics/modular approach, we can create like one template, one asset, one content pieces within the header and footer, put this module is dynamically, and put these needed modules from the very beginning here, but at the time of sending within the marketing automation platform, we will put these rules that for these users disable this and this module and show this second and third module, and for this and that users just disable these modules. So create these variations on them. So in this case, in most cases, you will spend less because it's one content pieces. Yes, it's still this number of modules, but due to this one content pieces, not the separate content pieces, as one asset, it will be less expensive for you, and potentially the savings through a lot of this quantity of emails could be pretty high. So the advantages of this dynamic assets, dynamic templates, that is really reduced not only the costs but also the production time, because it's easier to put these modules, dynamic modules, inside the one template that is created separate template. It can also support differences multilingual versions. If you put like the same like content, but they are different language versions. And it's, to some extent, yes, it really can be like you think about this complicated, but when you set up this approach and create like PDFs, for example, for different variations, it could also potentially speed up the MLR process. So it varies actually from our practice here, from company to company, but potentially the best approach here is to create the one PDF with all these modules listed and push it through the MLR process. So you will just like have the one PDF instead of 2 or 3 PDF with the separate assets that you need to push through the MLR process. So it can also potentially optimize the MLR process as well. So our tool actually, Wizard, is really designed to support our clients with this stuff. So it's also, we have some supports for some part of this M technology. We're working with this modular content, with this dynamic with modules, with this separate pieces that could be easily created. You can easily create the assets there using this approach. So the last survey that I would like to launch, also based on your vision, maybe your experience and so on, just vote how many in average. Of course, it's average time. How many seconds user is spending when they open the email. How many seconds they spending just to get like a initial understanding what it's all about. Once again, it's not only our like experience, not only our vision. It's based on the variety of research that we have from different companies. No, I see that a lot of you is not so optimistic here currently. Of course, once again, it's average. So from HCP to HCP, from company to company, from activity to activity, it can vary. But the correct answer here. So please vote, everyone who did not do it currently. So okay, we'll close and share the results. Yes, the correct answer here is 11 seconds. So 11 seconds. It's currently, in general, in average, yeah, users. It's not only HCP. It's different. Yeah, users spending on the one single average email. Okay, we'll hide the results. So actually, that's all from my presentation. Once again, yeah, if we're talking about Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Viseven has a lot of expertise with Salesforce Marketing Cloud and all other companies as well. So if you have any questions, anything that you think we can help you with, some consult or anything else, so please reach us. So here is our like general email, and here is my personal work email. You can use this contacts to reach us with any kind of questions. We'll really help, really ready to support you, to give some short or middle consultation on any kind of this stuff or something similar to this. Please feel free to contact us. So let's go to questions. Do we have some bunch of questions? I will try to go through it. So the first question was about the recording. Yes, we'll have the recording. Do MP emails work on other mailboxes and Gmail in other markets? The big majority of HCPs not using the Gmail address. Yes, as I said before, so the AMP email currently supported by the Google and by the Yahoo and some other like Mail.ru and so on in Russia. So by other vendors currently not. So yes, I understand. So actually the situation varies. So as I said, if in your country you see that really small amount of this Gmail and Yahoo emails, it's really maybe at current stage is not so worth it to use it. But in Latam, for example, it's what we see. It's pretty a lot of them HCPs using it in US, more or less good in Spain and Italy. Also, a lot of the users using the Gmail and Yahoo. Just try to look into your database. If you see the more or less significant numbers of the HCP using it, so in this case, it's worth using. So we hope that after some time, some other vendors will also, email providers will also support it. But it really depends, yeah, who will support, who not. We can tell you for sure who will and who will not. This iPhone example you are just sharing, I imagine. Imagine doesn't work in pharma. Just example of the iPhone. You can put any kind of the stuff, so it will work for pharma. It's the same. So technology is like the same and working the same, no matter we're talking about pharma, about FMCG, about the real estate or so. The technology is similar. You can put any kind of this dynamic stuff here. So instead of iPhone, you can put the your brand image, for example, your drug and so on. Outlook is, yeah, it's a little bit hard story. It's it has some issues currently. It's not only about the AMP email as well. It's it's about all stuff, about the GIF graphics. It's also, there was like a discussion to that Outlook can support it. After that, they changed their mind, reconsider. So it's currently not easy like story with Outlook. Email clients, yeah, I mentioned it. It's Gmail and Yahoo currently mainly, and Mail.ru for Russia. How it's this adaptable to PC, iPod, mobile? Yeah, it's adaptable, the same like it's adapted to the as a normal HTML version. So you need to put some this technical stuff in order to and check like test it to make sure that it's looks good in any devices. So it's actually, from our practice, it's okay. So when you put in this AMP interactive elements, so it could potentially be good looking on the in any devices. Will customer who use Outlook, the case in many and his sister, be able to interact with the AMP? Yes, I tried to answer it previously. Yeah, it's hard story. It also depends on the version of Outlook and some setup in the Outlook. But yeah, Outlook, it's hard story actually. Does this technology need a specific platform to be sent out, or it's compatible with Salesforce platform, for example? It's compatible with the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, not Salesforce CRM itself, not Viva, for example, not QA, but Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Or Adobe Campaign, we have this slide with the list of the platforms that supports this technology. How we can manage email client compatibility issue, various interactive features does not work in Outlook. So as I said, for the MPMLs, if we're talking about the MPMLs or any kind of other interactive elements, so it's a case that we create in the standard HTML version and this AMP version. So for those who, so we don't need even to specify what we're sending to whom. We're sending to everyone, for example, this MP version, and it will be automatically, if the inbox, Outlook, or just any other, for example, email client doesn't support it, the user will see standard HTML version. If it supports AMP version, he will see automatically the this advanced MP version. Does Viva support it? No, Viva currently doesn't support it. Can MP technology be used? The same question. Yeah, no, it does support by Viva. Outlook, yeah, it's not so good actually. What is good source of the GIFs? I'm not sure that I get the question. What do you mean by good source? I mean by not creating the GIFs, but downloading some existing GIFs. I think it's yes, you can download maybe some from the web, some source, but it's actually for the more or less professional designer. It's not so hard to create some GIF, some small this dynamic elements using the combination of images to put this small dynamics. What percentage open rate and click-through rates should be expected? Pretty general questions. It depends. So it's different. If you're asking about I don't know some standard like approach compared to this interactive emails approach, so it depends. Yeah, but as I said, so in some cases we see like small percent, like 5-4% increase. But in case, for example, as I mentioned previously, in case of the putting these dynamic components for surveys, we see like 3 and even more time higher response rate in the in service embedded in the MP emails. And within the, so I think one of the best general cases that we have, it's like where we can double click rate using and double the open rate yet using the different personalization. I'm talking not only about the MP emails itself, but using the more personalized, more appealing approach. So with the cases when we use a lot of this personal content, personal approach, we see really the huge incremental in engagement. What is the best time to send? Once again, it's not the question that I will tell you the best time of sending the email. It's really varies. I know dozens of different studies that trying to bring you this general best time for all. But the reality is that in different countries, for different company, for different audience, there is no one unique standard time for all. It's really the case that you utilizing this kind of features like Einstein features, send time optimization, or putting your own machine learning algorithms, and you really personalize this time for your audience. So not one time for all, but sending automatically the email to the best time for this person, and this person. So you really need this, put this functionality, assign this personal time in each and every HCP automatically. So by manually, it's of course it's madness to put all this kind of stuff. Assign this time to using the machine learning algorithms to each and every user, and after that use this action element in the journey that will send the email to each separate HCP to the times that he is prefer. So for some user, so for example, when we send using this Einstein algorithm, we saw that the like 20% is at the morning, some percent is afternoon, and even we have a small but still some quantity of HCPs that is checking the email late at the night. So it's really in US market. Also, once again, it depends. It depends. We saw many cases for US markets, no standard time. So, for example, if we're talking about the day of the week, in general there is something like a recommendation to send the emails on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the morning, like 9-10 p.m. But couple of times we send these emails pretty late, or even on the weekend, and couple of times we saw pretty bad performance, but couple of times we also saw pretty good performance, because mainly because of the not so many. Everyone is thinking that like evening, late evening, and weekends is bad time, and not sending this email, and we are sending at this time, and we are not like competing with many other senders. So that is why it could be also good. I'm not encourage you to send all your communication on the weekend and late in the evening. So once again, it depends. What is two-way communication? Can you please give examples? Two-way communication is really when you're implementing this like AMP technology and getting this feedback. So the user populating some comments into the AMP email, and you're getting this. So he understands that he can give some feedback to you, like surveys, you can imagine, or some rate your content and so on. So giving this feedback. So the two-way, it's like about we getting him understanding that we're listening. Yeah, we are getting his actions, his feedback. Kaipa, it's not better to use copy wherever possible and to avoid copy in the image due to the firewall, and to ensure the content adjusted within accessible settings. To avoid copy, to use copy wherever possible to avoid copy in the image. I'm not sure that I get you. You mean different images, not the one image for all, but different images for different devices or so? Not sure. Sorry, Jonathan, I'm not sure getting your questions. Nice session and interesting discussion of email marketing pharma. Thank you. In MailChimp accepted by medical frame rating, is there any pharma of life science company using MailChimp and newsletter email marketing? Yes, some companies, especially, so we saw MailChimp when this on the global level. You don't have the enterprise level solution like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Oracle Loqua, Adobe Campaign or so. So yes, some separate affiliates, some separate countries can use MailChimp. Pretty understandable and standard solution. I can tell you that MailChimp like is the best for all. I think that there's a lot of more advanced, more suitable solution. Like for example, in US market, we're using a lot Active Campaign, pretty good solution. So I'm not the best, actually, the great fan of the MailChimp itself. Enabling them to mode is available in Salesforce. Yes, it's available in Salesforce. Actually, what I'm trying to say is that from technical perspective, not of course everyone, but all more or less modern, more or less advanced platform currently that is trying to name them as a marketing automation solution, trying to give you a lot of this capability with personalization, with this dynamic tokens and the dynamic content when you enable and disable content. So Salesforce Marketing Cloud actually is one of the greatest, I think maybe the greatest solution from technical perspective in sense of personalization. It's just the case that pharma mostly doesn't use it to the full extent. So that is why I encourage you to use it. So for example, if you're responsible for the creating this content, think about what personal experience you can bring to your audience, and after that go to any person, any specialist who is responsible for implementing this campaign, this dynamic features personalization in platforms like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and ask them, hey, dear Michael, I need to put this dynamic content. Please give me this and this functionality. Give this blocks enable, this block disable based on these rules. Even if they don't know it, didn't get used to work with it, ask them to go through some documentation, some learning, and to understand how to implement this. Because really, if you will implement it and you will see the benefits of this, after this, it will be much easier for you to implement something similar or go beyond this functionality and implement it. So it's really worth trying, at least. I'm not guaranteed that just a simple standard approach to personalization will boost to maximum level your performance, but you need to try. You need to think about what kind of personal experience you can bring to your audience, and after that see the results, and try to give some like experiment, some A/B test maybe, or anything. Create some hypothesis. Yeah, that this kind of approach will work on this kind of approach, and after a couple of trials, you will see what is working for you and what is not working. I already mentioned it. So, for example, not only by names, but also just the geography. It's pretty good to use just simple mentioning of the town of HCP in subject line, for example, based on our experience, but based on our A/B test, give pretty good boost to engagement, to open rates. So for this time, and actually all questions that I see. If you have anything else, please feel free to ask. If no questions left, we can close the meeting. If you after that, once again, you already needs to clarify something, need to our consultancy, needs to get some additional recommendation for us, please feel free to reach us using that email that I previously showed in presentation, our general email or my personal email, and we'll be glad to share our expertise with you. So thank colleagues, thank to everyone who participated in our webinar. Thanks for your involvement, for your engagement. Take care. See you.